you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm working on another Project Life spread from 2020, and this is week 16, and it's in the middle of April. So it's basically a month into quarantine. So kind of deep into those early quarantine days, which I kind of loved in a lot of ways. So here are the photos that I have, and that is basically the stories that I'm going to be telling is from, the days in quarantine. The kit that I'm going to be using is from Ali Edwards. This is her Bloom Story Kit that just was recently released. It's a beautiful kit that goes really great for a lot of springtime stories. But as you can see, I'm going to be telling some stories from quarantine. So we are going to make it work for that as well. That's one thing that I love about these kits is they can be used for a variety of different stories. Other things that were included besides the cards, which I will show you, I will kind of do a speed through and show you the cards as I'm looking to figure out which ones I want to use. I thought this was really great. So we've got some word phrases. These are made of cork board. I always love these kind of bold sentiments. So this will be a lot of fun to use. Then of course we've got the chipboard. They are all in the form of tags. So that is a little bit different. Then we've got the word phrase stickers. This is in a nice yellow green color. And then we've got some large acetate flowers. And I've got to be honest, I don't actually use a ton of flowers in my projects. I'm not sure why. I see a lot of other crafters using them, and I think that they're so beautiful. I'm going to try and use some today, maybe one today, but just because I want to do something a little bit different. Of course, here is the word. This year they've been doing it a little bit different. They're not doing the thick acetate words like they've done in the past. This is Bloom is printed onto transparency. I like both of them actually. So I am a fan of these thinner words just because I feel like it fits in the pockets a little bit better. So big fan of that. And then I've opened these because I wanted to see what they looked like, but it looks like it is just some, I don't know if you call it ephemera or tags, but little things that I think would be probably really great to add onto the top of photos here. So maybe it's labels. That probably is more accurate to say labels. So that might be something I will look into as I progress with this layout. So I'm just going to move all this stuff aside. I'm going to start speeding things up as I add my photos and my cards in and just kind of get a base for this spread. All right, you guys, so just like I said, as I begin, the first thing that I'm going to do is work on my foundation, and that always starts with the photos, so laying those out and figuring out where I want those to go. So as I'm kind of trying to figure out where I want those 4x6s to go, what is going through my head is, sometimes I like to have the photos based on when I took them during the week. So, I will tend to have photos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the left side and the remainder of the week on the right side. I don't always do that though, and then I don't feel like I have to do that. And a lot of times I will mix it up based on the weight of the photo. So let's say I have a lot of photos that are bright, or I have some bright and some dark photos like you can see in this layout. I will split them up so that all the dark photos aren't together and just one side of my layout feels really heavy. So I try and split everything up. I will definitely do that with the cards as well and think about splitting up the journaling cards. It's just to kind of give an overall feel of balance instead of, weighted on one side. And that just, like I said, it just kind of goes on feel. If you look at a photo that is darker tends to have a little bit more weight to it. And so that's why I make that decision. But I will say these are rules that are absolutely rules that can be broken because this is your project. So you get to decide. Let's say you have a whole bunch of pictures that are from one event and they're all pretty dark and they're kind of heavy feeling because of that. You can put them all together because you want to keep them all together because they're one event. That's totally up to you. I am just giving you some design rules that I know, but you get to decide. Ultimately, you are the one that gets to decide. So I just want to make sure that you guys remember that as you're working through your projects. And the more you do and the more you play around, the more you will understand and get a feel for how to get that great balance with your spreads. All right, so speaking of balance, one of the things I was trying to figure out what to do with those words, those corkboard words. So I was like, yeah, let's put them on every photo. But you know what? I don't necessarily like to do that. I feel like when you put something on every photo, it just feels like a lot of stuff. Again, if that's something that you like to do, please do it. I like there to be a little bit of breathing room so that there's not stuff on every photo. And so I chose to only choose 3 photos. Again, another triangle. I talked about this in my last video. A triangle that actually helps to move your eye through the spread. So I chose to do it on 3 of the photos, and that felt right to me. Of course, stick it on every photo if you want. When I tend to add something to every photo, I will tend to add it to, like, let's say the middle of every photo, because that feels really good. But I don't always do a lot of stuff right in the middle, because I feel like what I ultimately really want to do when I look back at these photos is see the photos, not the embellishments. I want to see the people's faces. I want to see the photo and the stories. So I don't like to put too much stuff on my photo where I can't actually see what's going on, because that's really my focus, not the embellishment. So anyway, that was a long explanation of why I only chose to do the 3. But anyway, you can really apply that to so many of my videos as you're watching me work through that. So you can see that I'm going to be working on my journaling now. I grabbed over my Fudesuke pen. Is that what it's called? I feel like it's right here in front of me. Oh, sorry. It is Fudesuke pen, and I think it was the hard tip. Anyway, I've been playing a little bit with hand lettering, brush lettering. Maybe that's more accurate. I've been practicing, I would say, for probably a couple of years. I'm feeling definitely more confident with my hand lettering. It's not as shaky as it was. So, I'm hoping to incorporate that a little bit more in my projects. So let me go back and actually say that journaling card that says I am, that was actually just taken right out of my journal. One of the days I did the ing words and kind of wrote about what was going on. And so I just decided to pick 5, since there were a list of 5 there. 5 of the things that I highlighted. Maybe I had like 10 to 12. I can't remember. But I just picked the 5 kind of that I wanted to remember, and then wrote just a little excerpt there, knowing that I did have journaling on that. Also, I will say the other card that says I've got this, the journaling, I can't now remember. It's so funny. I just did it yesterday. I can't now exactly remember the story I told, but instead of saying I wrote we over it. I thought that would be kind of cute to brush letter over the I. And so it says, we've got this. So obviously the journaling had something to do with the family as a whole instead of just me, which is interesting because I think there is a card that says something else with we in it. And I probably could have just used that, but I actually thought that was a fun way to add more brush lettering to the spread. So that's one thing you can do design wise as well, is to add multiples more than, add an element more than just once. So you can see that I grabbed over that label set and just finding ways to include it. One of them, I didn't really like the sentiment on there, but I liked the shape. So I decided to use one of the word phrase stickers and just create my own with some journaling. Now I'm just using the Tim Holtz mini stapler just to staple on everything. I think it just adds a little bit to the photos, like going back to what I was saying, it adds a little bit to the photos, but it doesn't take over the photo. And that's definitely what I'm going for as I'm working through this spread. So at the beginning, I talked about wanting to use one of these big florals because I don't use a lot of the florals. And so I thought it would be really cool to just take the 1 4x6 card and stretch this flower so it's going, you know, from one side to the next. I originally was thinking, oh, maybe I would do a see-through pocket because this transparency flower lends itself to that. It would look really cool on the other side as well. But I decided to just extend that card. I was going to just cut and use the the quote, but then I thought, you know what, I'll just extend the card and use the whole thing instead of it being a transparency. So you could use it as a transparency as well. I think that that would actually look really beautiful in this spread. And of course, it's so fun to have transparent elements in your project life. I haven't really done it too much. Like, I definitely do it a ton in smaller projects like Week in the Life and December Daily, but I haven't done it so much in project life, a little bit, but I would like to do a little bit more. I think it's because I always have a story to tell, or I always have a photo that I want to add, and so I tend not to do as many of the see-through things. So let's see, I am now putting down some of the word corkboards, or the corkboard words, and I will just say, as you're pulling, they're really stuck onto the plastic. And as you're pulling that off, just be extra careful because you can rip off some of the letters, especially that the S's are pretty delicate. So just be careful, go really slow as you're pulling off, and you should be fine. I didn't lose any of the letters. And if you did, they would be really easy to just kind of put back on and adhere together. But I'm just saying, just be super careful as you're taking it off. So anyway, you guys, that is it for this week. Hopefully you were able to get some design ideas from this week's spread as I kind of talked through the things that I was doing. As always, thank you so much for being here. And if you've not yet subscribed, I would love you to do so. And of course, hit the bell so that you will be notified when a video goes live. We'll see you next time. Bye.